I'm starting a new video. I'm starting a new video series here on the channel. I think I'm going to do these about once a month. And the idea is if Nationals was tomorrow, what deck would I bring to the tournament? And so each month you'll be getting a breakdown of what deck I feel like is the most powerful deck for me personally to bring to Nationals. I'm going to break down all the deck building decisions, what's in the reserve, what's in the main deck. Let's get into it. So the deck at its core is a Nativity offense with a Herod defense. The key cards are Bethlehem Stable, which protects hand, deck, and reserve from opponents. It has this cool ability. It says if your Nativity hero is harmed or defeated, you can reserve it instead. And each upkeep, you may take a good Nativity card from reserve. To me, this card just feels like Storehouse on crack cocaine. It's just so good. It does everything that Storehouse does, but even adds some built-in recursion and long game for your heroes. Pairing it up is with Herod's Temple, protect gospel humans in territory from harm. So this will protect my offense and defense. And during battle, that toss ability is really strong paired with the Herods, sometimes on good heroes, but mostly with the Herods. The key card to see on defense is Overtaken here. If a hero with negated in the special ability enters battle, your humans cannot be negated. Sorry, evil humans. So let's take a look, shall we? So this will trigger if I attack with Mary, if I attack with the Magi, Joseph the Betrothed, Zechariah the Silent, and Gabriel, Mouth of God. And the way the Overtaken works, that its ability will last till the next time I activate the artifact. So if I attack during my turn with a card like Mary, the effect of Overtaken will last when I block. And it only goes away during my next artifact activation phase. So this deck is really built around that concept and is trying to push that to its full potential. It's doing that with a Herod-based defense, cards like Outsiders that underdeck opponents' heroes from play. If that card cannot be negated, it's really scary. Same with Herod Agrippa, who has protection, or Herod's Executioner, who can ban to Herods and give that Herod protection. If these abilities cannot be negated, there's little the opponent can do unless they have a regardless of protection card. In order to get out Overtaken, we're playing cards that, like Endless Treasures. Endless Treasures says when you activate it, you can take a curse from deck or reserve and activate it. So we can use Endless Treasures to go get Overtaken or some spice out of our reserve. And running Delivered to go activate an artifact. This deck is built to be explosive on turn one. And what I mean by that is usually you want to try and play a Resurrection, goes grabs something like your Bethlehem Stable and a card like John the Fisherman, put them into battle, start drawing cards, get a really strong attack off on turn one. You can continue to keep the pressure on, use Star of Bethlehem to keep drawing cards and activating some really powerful star abilities. In the reserve, we do have ability that will protect your Nativity heroes from harm when you activate its star ability, but we'll get to that later. Crowd's Choice to help you set up for explosive turn one, and your staples of Son of God, Second Coming, Three Woes. To help out the offense a little bit more, Angel of the Lord is here. It's not quite enough room for evil dominance, but maybe I'm crazy for not running any. Almost every hero in the deck generates some form of card advantage. Magi can ban, or if the opponent has hand advantage, you can take star cards from your deck. Joseph can take good or neutral Nativity cards, or ban. So Zechariah says if opponent has hand advantage, you may draw two. And since I don't have Elizabeth in this deck, he's usually going to be preventing the next enhancement played. Simeon says if opponent has hand advantage, they must underdeck an evil card from hand. So this guy can be super annoying. And can ban to an New Testament prophet. Gabriel's text is kind of wordy, but let me break it down for you. So first mode is negate an evil card. Then you can choose from 4 different options. 1, you may take a silver gospel card from deck or discard pile. So that's one of your options. 2, ban to a gospel hero. 3, reserve an evil card from opponent's deck. So those are your options. You have 3 options, sorry. This card can help you keep going the late game by recurring those silver gospel cards from your deck or discard pile. You can even throw down an abandoning chain too, and can erode the opponent's resources by taking an evil card from their deck. Angel Appears is a card you can want to see on turn 1. You can play a gospel angel from deck if opponent has hand advantage. So usually you'll want to grab Resurrection Revealer, who's really good when you attack because you can go grab the Resurrection or Star of Bethlehem or something like that on turn 1. The Annunciation can also grab the Resurrection on turn 1. It's also just a good battle winner. Speaking of good battle winners, we have Lost Child Found. If used by Nativity hero, interrupt the battle, bounce up to 3 other cards except Dominance. Not only can this get you out of a Nazareth lock, It can help increase the number of cards in the opponent's hand, and it can also be used in battle, just as a battle winner. Good seed, really solid card, put it in your territory, and then when you're losing the battle, you can add one of your heroes to battle. Let's talk a little bit about 20 shekels. It might look weird seeing this card, but the reason I have it in the deck is I can pair it with Mary. So I would activate this, reveal opponent's hand, play a character, then attack with Mary, and negate and reserve their evil character I just played. So if I have 20 shekels and Mary happening every turn, it's going to really erode their ability to make a successful block. So I'm just kind of trying this out. I've seen the Guardian run this to great effect in his most recent tournaments, and I feel like there's really strong potential in this card. And I'm trying it out. There are a couple cards in here that are just really powerful. I could see them being swapped out with other things, but since I'm already running Golgotha, might as well run the cross too, right? You can activate this in the late game and just be really brutal for the opponent, especially if you've got all your dominance and you put them all into play. Same with Sheol. Because I'm playing a Unity defense, Sheol is a pretty easy include. If opponents are searching too much, I can use this card to punish them, or if I'm losing a battle, I can discard Sheol and start adding to battle. I mentioned Golgotha earlier, but it's here because it's so strong to take a gospel evil character from the deck. And also that ability that says the first skull icon card used by your New Testament character each battle cannot be prevented. That's really strong too. When choosing Lost Souls, I wanted to choose Lost Souls that help me get cards into my hand. For example, Darkness, if I get it out on the first turn, it can search for an evil character, put it in my hand. Lawless, it can reveal the top cards of a deck and put Lost Souls and an evil card into the hand. Prosperity, I can discard a card, draw 2. So all these Lost Souls are trying to get me more cards to work with. Aside from that, we have Humble, who's applying cannot be prevented modifiers to my cards during battle if opponent has less cards in hand than me. So although most of my cards in my deck have cannot be negated or cannot be prevented, it's still nice to have Humble for the things that don't. All right, I'm also playing Color Guard. I will be playing my evil characters down early and often to try and get that hand advantage, and I do want to have some extra fire insurance just in case Herod's Temple is not in play. And to get some soul generation, make sure I have Souls to Rescue using Lost Souls. Moving on to the defense, we do have a Feudal Inquisition, really solid battle winner, or should I say battle ender, followed by No Straw. This card cannot be negated when multiple heroes are in battle, and is Single Brigade, which doesn't get tossed by a card like Michael. A card like Revolt is used to cause some chaos. If an opponent has a lot of evil characters in play, play this Revolt, ban to a bunch of characters, and set everybody aside. Okay, I'm not going to talk about every single card in the main deck. That's just going to take way too long. Let's keep moving. It's time for the reserve. Start with the hero, John the Forerunner. This is my silver bullet. In games that are going long, an opponent is playing out all of his evil characters in his territory, trying to get his hand size smaller than me. I'm going to grab John. John's going to come in and say, prepare the way. And it's going to paralyze everybody in the territory. It's going to be glorious. This guy can just steal wins out of nowhere, guys. I'm telling you. Especially paired with 30 shekels. Don't sleep on John. Got a battle winner here. It's a Nativity's card. Can be got with Bethlehem Stable. Really good. Interrupt the battle. Resolve all evil characters. Child is born. Interrupt the battle. Take a Nativity hero from reserve. Hero may ban any number of New Testament heroes. And here's the card I was alluding to earlier. Its star ability says protect good Nativity cards from harm until end of turn. So the idea is on the turn you're ready to use your Star of Bethlehem, grab this card with your stable, and then play Star of Bethlehem, activate Star ability, and get a really good attack off. We have Herod Antipas, which can be gotten by the Deceiver or Herodes' daughter. This card says evil New Testament enhancements used by this card regardless of protect abilities. Or if blocking, you may take a New Testament evil card from a reserve. So this guy can grab any one of these 3. Most likely you'll be using him to grab Contagious Fear. So if you can get him out, and if you have good initiative, if you know the opponent does have Angel of the Lord or Three Woes, you can just use Herod Antipas, grab Contagious Fear, and end the battle, and protect the Lost Souls. So Duplicity might look a little bit weird in the reserve, but Mary can get any card with a star ability. It doesn't matter what brigade it is or what alignment it is, good or evil. Mary can just go grab Duplicity, so that seems just pretty good. Why not? And in other versions of this deck, I was playing a card which might have been pretty chaotic. I would really want to put this card back in the deck, especially if I can play it off of Duplicity. It just sounds so fun. But it's a it's a double-sided sword. because it'll kill all my New Testament heroes. But I don't know. If you're feeling spicy, feel free to put that in the reserve. Moving on, foreign horses. It's so solid to get a Herod's Executioner, equip foreign horses onto a character you control, and then ban to that character is really strong. Or Herod's Executioner, go get foreign spears to get rid of a good card in a territory. That's also pretty good. And I'm only playing one curse that I can use to go get with endless treasures. But if you're feeling spicy, you could put more curses in here, like Goliath's Curse, Confusion of Mind, Captured Ark, whatever you need. But in my head, I'm only going to be using endless treasures and activating it to go get something out of my reserve during the late game. And the best late game curse to me is probably Peter's Curse. Okay, so I just spent a lot of time talking about the deck, but why? Why do I need like this deck in particular? Sure, it has all these cute strategies and cards and everything, but why do I think this is the best choice for me right now? So one of the hottest decks right now is called Honeypot. That deck is trying to get Holy of Holies out and Pot of Mana. Have these really strong cannot be negated artifacts. The thing about Holy of Holies, which is trying to negate characters, if you just play characters that can't be negated or prevented, they're going to spend a whole lot of resources just doing something your deck doesn't care about. And you're just going to outmuscle them because your cards are just better than theirs. So that's reason number one. Number two, I feel like Overtaken's a really underrated card. And if people aren't prepared for it, it's going to send them packing. And pairing Herods plus Nativity cards, that's the most cannot be negated characters, plus the strongest evil characters, if you give them cannot be negated. Just seems like a cookies and cream, you know? Peanut butter and jelly, Cheerios and milk. You get the picture. This deck, because of Bethlehem Stable, is also able to play a great long game. If they don't remove your stable, you're going to be able to just keep attacking them with Mary over and over, and that's going to wear them down. And I like this deck, even though it's like a deck that can play a great long game, it also keeps up in cards. If the opponent attacks you with Matthew and draws a lot of cards on the first turn of the game, this deck has ways to catch up, like Star of Bethlehem, and all of its heroes just grab cards from your deck or reserve. And even some of the heroes draw cards, so I found that this deck actually like draws, I almost draw out of all the cards in my deck sometimes. So if you've been following the channel, you noticed I have been trying out pairing Daniel and Herods together. The reason is like Overtaken once cannot be negated characters, and some of the best in the game are Michael and Daniel. So why didn't I recommend this deck? Fundamentally, I believe Daniel decks to be a little bit more fragile and have less card draw than Nativity decks. I believe Daniel decks do have the better attacks, generally speaking, but they're weaker to other types of strategies and other ways of being disrupted. Especially if something happens to Michael or Daniel, then it's just, the deck's wheels just kind of fall off. Or if people are prepared to beat Daniel, then it's also going to send you packing. I do believe Daniel's strong, don't get me wrong, but I feel like Nativity's just doing what they want to do, but a little bit better, poisonally speaking. So I'm going to walk you through some of the deck building decisions I made for this particular version of the deck. They could be completely wrong. They could be partially true, so just take these with a little bit of grain of salt, but I'm walking you through my critical thinking right now. I'm trying to help you build some of your own. So there is a decision. Do I want to run 20 Shekels or Temple Veil? I've been telling you guys how powerful this card is inherently, but there's an argument for using Temple Veil. Temple Veil is a temple artifact that you can activate in Herod's Temple. So you can activate this card when normally in some cases you wouldn't be able to activate 20 Shekels. But here's my reasoning. Let's say the most likely scenario is you have an Overtaken activated in your artifact pile. If your Overtaken is out and active, that means you're probably doing well and winning the game. So maybe you don't even need to activate an artifact if Overtaken is already out. That's just my thoughts. And also, if they get rid of Overtaken, this is a great plan B. Pairing 20 Shekels plus Mary is just, it gets you free Lost Souls sometimes. And if I've learned anything from watching the Guardian play, 20 Shekels, cool card. You can build whole decks around it. So yeah, maybe this isn't the strongest 20 Shekels deck, but maybe the weakest 20 Shekels deck is still pretty strong. Oh yeah, some other relevant points going for Temple Veil. That bounce ability and the New Testament heroes have side access. I guess that's adds a few percentage points because maybe opponent bans to your Mary, converts her to Meek. You can bounce her, unconvert her to Meek and get back in action, but I don't know how often that comes up, you know. Call me crazy, guys. I always thought about cutting Humble from my deck. And here's why. So many of my characters, so many of my things cannot be prevented already. So Humble is just adding this redundancy that I feel like, man, maybe I could put a different Lost Soul in this spot. But the cards that don't have the Humble, it's nice to have Humble. There's so much cards that going around negating stuff in battle. And Humble's just great in helping you. But this card is a card I'm thinking about cutting. If there's any deck that should consider cutting it, perhaps it's this one. All right. So here's another take. So Shield's a great card. I hear you. It goes in every deck with Unity. I also hear you. I understand. But consider this deck has playing so many Herods in my territory, and all these Herods are sitting in my territory. There's like, can't be prevented, can't be negated, blah, 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 blah. And guess what? There's only going to be one card sitting in my set aside area, and it's going to be like a giant like target with like a magnet on its back, and it's going to absorb all their negates. So if they attack with battle and they say negate an evil card, guess where that's negates going? Sheol is just going to get negated. So I'm like, if they have nothing they can negate in my territory except Sheol, then why play Sheol? You know, I should just dodge their bullets and just play something else in this slot. But ultimately, I believe this card is so powerful that it's worth it. And if it draws a Three Woes, if someone plays a Three Woes down and targets Sheol, I'm okay with that because their Three Woes is only going to be able to negate Sheol in what, like an artifact? Cool. So anyways, that's my thought about Sheol. Star Bethlehem. I could see a more explosive version of this deck playing Mayhem. Mayhem's better on turn 1, where I would say Star Bethlehem's better in the later turns of the game. This card, you can end up drawing more cards and doing more things, but it takes a little bit more setup. And oftentimes you don't get that time to do that. But Mayhem's just like, let's go, turn 1, play your stuff down, play Mayhem, enough said. So I don't know. There's different versions of the deck that could run either one of these. And also, I've been thinking about what can I pair Endless Treasures with in the reserve. So yeah, I do run Peter's Curse right now, but I could easily switch that to Captured Arc or add it, or drop another card from my reserve and add Captured Arc or something. Just things to think about. There's so many endless opportunities I can get with this card as far as curses go. So here are some cards I did want to add, but I just don't know what to cut. A card like Shipwreck is really good, especially in the version of the deck that's wanting to use 20 shekels to try and look at opponent's hand and play down characters. Having a way to negate and discard their storehouse is really important. Shepherds of Bethlehem seems like a really powerful card. If they don't have any Lost Souls in play, I can just play one from their deck. And if opponent has hand advantage, I can start tossing enhancements with the brigade not already in battle. So we've seen how powerful this card is with an effect like Michael. And it's a Shepherd, a generic Shepherd of all people. So maybe I want to test this card out. I don't know what to cut. I don't know where I'm going to fit this card, but I want to put it in there eventually. Also, there's a new Glory of the Lord. This card seems pretty good. If I block with a Herod, then I play this card. Restricts players from playing enhancements. If that Herod has protection, like what are they gonna do? They can't play dominance because some of the Herods are immune to dominance. They can't play enhancements. Like what are your options there? Maybe a strong win the battle card for my defense. Let's talk about some cards that I've loved. Herod the Philip. I originally didn't play this card at all, but now I'm just like, yeah, this card just draws cards. And it's funny how you can just weave them in. Like, yeah, I'm just going to block with my Herods, draw some cards. Feels good. Feels good to draw cards with Herods. This is icing on the cake. Cannot be negated if 2 or more good brigades are in battle. Oh, yeah. I've already told you I love this. I'm going to say it one more time. Marry the Holy Virgin plus 20 shekels. Mwah. It's a masterpiece. Enough said. I've also loved having another way to grab Overtaking out of my deck. I believe Overtaking is that important. And having another artifact slot that I dedicate to being able to grab Overtaken, I think it's worth it. I also love having Duplicity in the deck, being able to play maybe a Romans Destroy Jerusalem or Contagious Fear. That's really strong too. So here are some cards that I thought about playing, but I didn't feel like they quite made the cut. So number 1 is the Manger. You can activate it on Bethlehem Stable. And each turn, if your Nativity hero is blocked, you can draw a card. So that's really nice. Or you can negate an evil neutral card in play or set aside area when you activate it. So it's like, it's an effect that's okay, but I don't know if it's powerful enough to justify making it into the first 50 cards of the deck. Maybe if I had to fill this deck out with like 4 more cards, then yeah, I'd make it in. Same with Gifts of the Magi. You can activate it on the Magi. You can bounce evil cards in opponent's territory, which helps for losing hand advantage. And if they play a dominant, you can grab a New Testament card from your deck or reserve. That seems really strong. But like I said, I don't know. I don't think I have a slot for this card in my deck, even though I want to. The Protector Lost Soul is really strong. I do value its ability to protect hand and deck from opponents. But the Lost Soul slot's pretty contested. I don't feel like there's quite enough room. I'd rather play Color Guard than this card. I thought about cutting Herodes' daughter and putting Malachite Slave in. This card is better at blocking on turn 1, but there's a lot of good fortresses running around that Herodes' daughter is able to just take care of. Unknown Nation's also a card you can put in the reserve to do with Endless Treasures. This is really strong if it's active. Thought about it, didn't do it. Executioner's Sword, I love pairing this card with Herod's Executioner. And if they attack with a character with 6 or less defense, you can go Herod's Executioner, activate Herod's Temple before you block, grab this card, toss it at them, and their hero just dies, and there's nothing they can do about it. Unless they negate Herod's Temple somehow. So that's the deck I'd bring if Nationals was tomorrow. I hope you liked it. We'll see if this opinion has changed in a month or two.